Am I the asshole for cutting off my husband's long hair because he cheated on me with my twin sister? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. Here's a little backstory on the bitch that is my sister. Growing up, she resented the fact that she was a twin. She thought she wasn't special because there was somebody that looked just like her. Therefore, she would call me her mini-me, her replica, and her shadow. My parents would constantly tell her that she should appreciate me because we have a twin connection. Oh, but she hates having the twin connection. My sister was very popular and really into sports. Whereas I was also popular, but I was more into boys and writing songs and singing. She also hated me for the fact that boys preferred me, but she was always in sweaty gym clothes. Both ended up getting into relationships around the same time, except her boyfriend was a total dick and cheated on her. I actually helped her get out of that relationship, but of course she never said thank you. I, on the other hand, was proposed to by my boyfriend. She also hated this. Had 7 months to plan our wedding, and I knew I wanted to start an Instagram to document everything. 3 months into it, my Instagram blew up. And of course, my sister hated this too. Started getting a bunch of hate comments. At first, I didn't know what it was. It was weird. A few days later, I'm talking to a friend of mine, and she decides to tell me everything. My sister went ahead and created 5 fake accounts so she could bully me on Instagram. But of course, I didn't confront my sister. I felt bad for her because I knew that she was hurting. So I decided to give her a pass. Try and remember this part for later. My husband, on the other hand, I thought was a good guy. When we were boyfriend and girlfriend, we saw each other twice a week. But really, it was only because he wanted to do you know what. And I thought that meant he loved me. He would take me out to dinner and sometimes do special things, but it was always followed by a favor, if you know what I mean. I accepted that this is just how relationships are, and that I shouldn't be prudish about it. After we got married, my husband started changing, and my God, women say this so often. He got an amazing job. He was making around $500,000 a year. He bought us a beautiful new house 2 blocks away from my parents, and I loved this because I was close to my family. He also bought me a new car, and get this, he offered to pay for a boob job, which I said no to. This is when my husband decided that he wanted to become a model on Instagram. He started getting together with local photographers, and all he would basically do was upload thirst traps. Now, yes, my husband is pretty attractive. He's muscular, tall, and has really long blonde hair. Now, this long blonde hair is his safety blanket. He loves his long hair. He talks about his long hair all the time, so much so that I've come to hate it. But his Instagram was not growing, whereas mine was blowing up. And I knew that he began to envy me this. He started saying things like, "My gosh, your content isn't that good. My pictures are better than yours." But like a good wife, I never said anything. This is when he started changing even more. He was asking for 3 meals a day, he wanted me to do his laundry, and he basically wanted me to serve him hand and foot. Without telling me all these things, he just started asking me to do it. There was no conversation, it was just a thing now. And I accepted it. I thought, well, he bought the house, he pays for the cars and the bills, I should be grateful and just serve him hand and foot. And then I started noticing other things. Anytime we would go to my parents' house, he would prioritize hanging out with my sister. At first, I appreciated it because I wanted them to get along. They were always together laughing and playfully punching each other. I thought it was cute. But then I noticed something really strange. But then I noticed my sister grabbing him. And when I tell you my sister is anti-affection, she hates touching people. But the way she touched him just made me realize that something was going on. My stomach fell so far down my ass, I thought I was gonna fall out. I had to act right then and there. I notice his phone is on the kitchen counter and I grab it. I go to Instagram and guess what I find? He was DMing with one of my sister's fake accounts that she created to bully me. While I'm standing behind them, I start going through all the messages. They had agreed to meet at our house where they did disgusting things. And the way they were speaking to each other was like that of a couple. Without thinking, I grab the kitchen scissors and I walk up to him. And I chop off as much hair as I could. Then show the messages to them and my parents. My parents started fighting with my sister and yelling at her. That's when she decided to deny everything. She said that I couldn't prove the Instagram account was hers. And since he never used her name in the messages, she can deny it. But my husband didn't. He fessed up to the whole thing. I made him go to her house and pack up a bag. He ended up getting his own apartment. I'm keeping the house. Sister kept denying it, but guess what? She went to live with him in the apartment. He doesn't want to give me a divorce. Instead, he came to my house and tried to forcefully kiss me. Told me he was kicking my sister out. What should I do? Self-care sister out.
Storytime about why I will never go on a date ever again. So a little background information. I was 20 years old and I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship. Now, I had just gotten out of this relationship like a month before I went on this date. And I had absolutely no intentions of looking for a guy, but I was up for, flirting with them and going on some dates. Well, the one day I am at the gym in my apartment building. And there's this guy who's walking on the treadmill next to me. And I get off and he gets off at the same time and he starts up a conversation with me. And we had started talking about how I never went jet skiing. And he was like, "Oh, well, do you want to go jet skiing on Tuesday?" So I just decided to put myself out there. I said yes, and bam, we had a date the next day. So I meet him at his car, and we go on this date. He did end up paying, which was very nice. But anyways, we're on the jet ski, and we're in the middle of the water. I was kind of weirded out because I didn't think that we would have to be that close with each other. Like for part 2. Part 2 about why I will never go on a date ever again. So like I said, he takes us to the beach, we get on the jet ski, and it's just 2 of us on one jet ski, which I was low-key uncomfortable about because I thought that we were each going to get our own, so there would be no touching involved. And after the shit that he pulled, I definitely wish that I had my own jet ski. So apparently he's jet skied all of his life, you know, he knew how to do this. Well, we go pretty far out from land because he knew the people and he didn't have to listen to any of the rules. He offered to let me drive it, but I did not want to because of the fact that he was going super fast and I did not want to do that shit. Well, listen to this. He flips us off the jet ski, right? And when he does that, all of a sudden it hits me. I am in the middle of the ocean. Like there's sharks, there's other things, there's creepy things, mysterious things we don't even know about. I literally start crying and he thinks it's funny. He gets on the jet ski and literally drives away. I'm not even joking. He left me there for 3 minutes. I could barely see land. And then he ended up coming back and he was like, ha ha ha, da da da. I never saw him.
Had a ton of lip filler over the years.
I'm recreating Ariana's Vogue tutorial.
Hi Vogue, it's Ariana Grande.
I don't have the exact product she's using. I have similar ones, but I do have the REM concealer. Have I tried it before? I guess I did, but I don't remember.
The Sarah Ford BioCell Oxygen Serum. Sarah's been doing La Mer, and I'm going to mix it with some SPF.
I will say I'm not going to mix my SPF in because it dilutes filters in it that protect your skin. So don't ever mix your SPF with anything. Just apply it as your last step in your skincare routine. She's not prepping her lips, but I need some immediate prep. So I'm using the Gizu lip oil.
REM Beauty Under Eye Cooling Balm. This is one of my favorite. Our brand new REM Beauty Sweetener Foundation.
I don't ever use a beauty sponge anymore. I only use brushes for my skin. I prefer it. She has way more coverage, so I'm gonna add more coverage. I like it. She covers her entire face with foundation, like her eyelids and everything. I never do that. You see, it just makes I don't like that. An extra layer around such already wrinkly skin. I have been blending with this for like 10 minutes and I feel like I'm not done. This is why I love my Anissa beauty brushes because God, it's so quick with those brushes, the concealer, the foundation, all of that. And with the sponge, you're just like,
I'm gonna use Sweetener Concealer. My shade is Light 4G.
The concealer looks pretty good in the pot. And then back in with the sponge because she's using a sponge throughout the whole thing. Let's see what it really looks like. The concealer looks really nice. I don't like how my lids feel so covered up. No!
Start to fill in my eyebrows.
I don't really bake like this and she leaves it on for a long time.
I kind of have eyebrows now.
She uses a lot of contour.
I'm gonna do my little button nose trick that I like. Using our REM Beauty Miss Mercury highlight. I'm not flipping you off, but maybe, you know? That is over here. My whole lid basically, but also I'm gonna use our multi-use eye stick in Intergalactic. Dior Rosy Glow. Something I do with my blush that also makes no sense is I like go in my eyebrows and my this and kind of everywhere. Over the years, used makeup as a disguise or as something to hide behind. Full transparency as a beauty person, as I do my lips. I've had a ton of lip filler over the years.
Good for you, Ariana, for being honest about that. It is so hard for celebrities to say the truth about filler and Botox, so good for you. This is a great PR move for you, girl.
Botox, I stopped in 2018 because I just felt so too much. I just felt like hiding, you know? Didn't expect to get emotional. I'm gonna make this line a little heavier because I know that's what the children want.
I really like this. You guys, this is all for PR. I get it. She has to do it. She is being trashed all over social media right now, so she needs to come out with some positive, relatable content, and that is her speaking about her filler, finally fessing up to it because I know that she's denied it in the past. What do you guys think about all that? I think it's the perfect move for Miss Ariana Grande. Good for you, girl. I cannot wait to see what you do next. Bye!
Storytime about the boy across the street who used to stalk me. So a little background information. My parents and I moved into a new house that was literally 5 minutes from where I used to live. But I went to private school, and almost all the other kids in my town went to the public school. So I didn't really know a lot of the kids in my town. Well, a week after we moved in, our neighbors across the street invited us to a barbecue. While we were there, I started talking to our neighbor's older son, and him and I started to get along really well. Like, in a flirty way. Their older son was a senior, I was a sophomore, and their younger son was a freshman. Well, I kind of talked to the younger son, but he was just like giving me really weird vibes. So for the next few weeks, I started hanging out with their older son a lot, and we would talk all the time. Well, the one day whenever I went over their house, it was super weird. His younger brother kept saying, "Oh, I think I know you from somewhere. Like, I swear I know you." And I'm just like, okay. Well, the one morning I was waiting outside for my mom to pick me up because she worked night shifts and she would just grab me and then take me to my school. And I saw him in his window watching me like for part 2. Part 2 about the boy across the street who used to stalk me. So like I said, I saw him watching me outside his window, but I didn't want to overthink it, so I was just like, no, maybe he's looking at something else. Well, this all started a month after I moved in. Well, it started happening more frequently, so then I told his older brother. We're just gonna call the younger brother Mac. So he talked to Mac and then everything was fine for a week. Just a little information real quick. For the public school, the bus would arrive at 7:40. My private school started at 7 o'clock. So my mom would come and get me at 6:15 because my school was kind of far away. So like I said, it was a week later. Every morning that I would go outside to wait for my mom, Mac would be standing on his porch watching me. Oh, but it gets worse. So one night I was in my bedroom, right? And this is like some scary movie shit. I kept seeing something run past my window. My bedroom was on the first floor. So I told my dad about it and he put cameras outside. Well, Mac's older brother told me that Mac was always interested in my life. So me being a smart ass bitch, I told his older brother that our cameras didn't work, like for part 3. Part 3 about the boy that lived across the street who used to stalk me. So like I said, I told his older brother that our cameras didn't work anymore, knowing that he would tell Mac. Because he had it in his head for some reason that Mac wasn't obsessed with me. And the reason why I told him our cameras didn't work was because Mac was watching while the cameras were being set up outside. And after that, everything stopped. Except he would still be outside every single morning on his fucking porch watching me. So the one night while I'm sleeping, I wake up to some noise right outside my window. And my bed was on the same wall as the window, so I could see who was right outside my window, but they couldn't see me. Well, I look, and guess who the fuck it is? It's Mac trying to get inside of my fucking window. So I quietly call my dad, and it's like 3 in the morning. So I tell my dad what's going on. So he goes outside and nobody's there. Well, the next day we check the cameras. There's footage of him jerking off outside my window, trying to break into my room with a fucking crowbar. Luckily, I was staying at a friend's that night. Taking pictures of me outside my window. So we showed his parents. Then we moved and they sent him to a mental hospital.
I'm paying for my husband's mistress's bills. What? Welcome to The Confessional, a series where you send me your confessions through here and I tell them on TikTok so you can get some genuine advice. Historically in my marriage, I have been the breadwinner. So my husband and I decided together that he would take care of the children. We had twins and I went back to work a month after I had them. Everything was fine up until they turned 7 years old. This is when I noticed that my husband was starting to get jealous and envious of my success. So much so that he would get mad at me for every little thing I did. For example, not washing the dishes the way he wanted me to wash them, doing the laundry too late, or generally helping around the house was a big no-no for him. So he's also controlling. It's almost like he was looking for any little excuse to set off. Then I realized I was walking on eggshells every single minute of the day when I was home. I started taking the kids out by myself, but my husband did not like this. He said that I was trying to monopolize the kids' time and that he wanted to spend time with them too. Wait, isn't he home with them all the time? What do you mean? 2 months ago, he confessed everything. He said that he hated me, hated my success, and that I made him feel emasculated for being so much more successful than he could ever be. He also said that I'm overbearing and controlling. Then he threatened to get a job, which I said yes to, and then he got even angrier. I'm assuming because he doesn't really want to get another job. Then he suggested that if I just let him do whatever he wants, i.e., sleep with other women, he will be happier in the relationship. This way he can feel like a man with another woman while I bring the bread home for the kids. Now, here's the thing. I do love my husband. In fact, I love him so much that I said yes to this. So here are the rules he laid down for this new situation. Apparently, he'd already been seeing somebody, didn't bother to tell me about her. All he wanted me to know was that she was younger than me and prettier. Are you okay? Every now and then he started asking me for money. I asked him what it was for, and then he said it's for you-know-who. It's gotten to the point where he'll just forward me her bills and have me send PayPal money. The only reason I'm doing it is because I don't want him to leave me. It would be embarrassing if my family finds out, and I would not want the kids to be without their father. But I'm getting to the point where everything is an insult. Duh. How could it not? He sent me 2 bills, one for the kid's dentist and one for a jewelry store where he got her an $800 necklace. He's never bought me anything before in my life. I've been the one to buy him every single shirt in his closet. In order for me to not get upset every time I see something, I decided to give him a checking account. In it, I put $30,000 and that's the limit for the next 3 months. I suggested couples therapy, but he laughed and told me that I was crazy for even trying. He is manipulating this so well. He knows he can get whatever he wants out of you, so he's holding this over your head in order to control you, especially financially. I think everyone in the comments is going to let you know that you're making a really big mistake. You need to find your happiness and discuss this with a very good lawyer. Good luck.
Storytime about how my fiance cheated on me with 10 other girls. So a little background information, I met this guy on Instagram and we're gonna call him Bryce. Now, when him and I met, he was stationed in Korea and he refused to ask me to be his girlfriend until he came home. So I waited an entire year for him to ask me to be his girlfriend, which low-key should have been a red flag, but he made it seem romantic in some twisted, weird way. So fast forward, he comes home in February and he kept to his promise. The first day that we met, he asked me to be his girlfriend. So I say yes. Fast forward, him and I start having a ton of arguments because of things that he was doing while he was in Korea. Fast forward, we're officially together for 9 months. So fast forward, of course, he gets deployed to Europe in like September of 2022. So this man decides that he's going to propose to me in July and then beg me to get married to him before he leaves. Now, I may have ignored the first red flags, but I'm not dumb. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my boyfriend cheated on me with 10 other girls. So like I said, this man begs me to get married to him before he leaves, and thank goodness I didn't because divorce papers would have been served the same day. So fast forward, he starts acting super weird. He's going out 24/7. He's getting drunk. He's not wearing the ring that he begged me to get him. Yes, he literally begged me for a ring so that way women would know that he had a girlfriend. Well, then of course I get a DM from a girl on Instagram asking if him and I were still together. And then after talking to her, I realized he literally made a Tinder 2 days after he got deployed. And what was his excuse? Oh, I wanted to meet friends to teach me German. And listen, I was not born last night, so I kept that conversation going because I wanted to get to the bottom of what the fuck was actually going on. And then, of course, he finally comes clean that he cheated on me with a bunch of girls. Oh, and you want to know the icing on the cake? One of them was a minor. Yup. After I leave him, he has the audacity to ask for my ring back. But I threatened to tell him, am I an asshole for lying to my boyfriend about being pregnant just to keep him in a relationship? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I repeat, this is not my story time. It was sending me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 5 years. Granted, we did break up throughout those 5 years. With all the breakups, we've actually been together for about 3 years. I've never considered myself an obsessive person, but when it comes to him, something just takes over me. Here's some of the reasons why we broke up. At first, he didn't want to be in a relationship even though I begged him, which I know was so dumb of me. So he eventually broke up with me and told me that he didn't want anything serious. But he kept on calling me every single week because he wanted the dirty. Instead, I started going out on other dates and I would flaunt it all over my social media. And this worked. It made him super jealous and he came right back to me. Called me up one day and told me that he wanted me back. The second time we broke up, I caught him talking to some girls on Facebook. When I confronted him, he broke up with me. Told me I was too nosy and that he needed to live his life as a single man. We finally got back together. I told him that it was for marriage. He said yes, that he would eventually ask me to marry him. A few months ago, he started acting really cold towards me. He would barely call me and when we were together, he would never touch me. That's when I started digging in his phone and I found that he was talking to some girls on Instagram. But I knew that if I confronted him, I would risk him breaking up with me again. So I did the next logical thing. I waited until I saw him again and I told him that I was pregnant. I even started to cry to make him feel like I was happy. His face turned completely white and he asked me if I was sure. I said, yes, aren't you happy, baby? Part 2 is up. Am I the asshole for lying to my boyfriend about being pregnant just so that I could keep him in a relationship? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I repeat, this is not my story time. I sent him on Instagram. That's when he started to cry. Remember, I don't even have a pregnancy test to show or anything. But surprisingly, he didn't ask for proof of my pregnancy. He just kept crying on the couch. I asked him if he was happy, but clearly he was not. But he lied and said, yeah, of course I'm happy. Seeing how vulnerable he was, I took advantage of the situation and I brought up marriage. I told him we should get engaged soon so that we could tell his family. Then he said, are you sure you want to get married? And I said, of course, we're gonna have a baby. Then he sat there for a minute and thought about it. Finally, he got down on one knee and said, do you want to marry me? I said, yes! And this time I cried for real. All my dreams were coming true. After that, things started moving really fast. We invited both our families to my apartment and we hosted a dinner. We broke the news to them that I was pregnant. Again, nobody asked for proof of the pregnancy though. Our families were so happy and excited. That very same night, he gave me a beautiful engagement ring. His mom even started planning the baby shower. Let me remind you, I'm actually not pregnant. So I had to come up with a plan. You'll never guess what I did. Part 3 is up. Am I an asshole for lying to my boyfriend about being pregnant just to keep him in a relationship?
Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I repeat, this is not my story time. It was sent me on Instagram. His mom started planning the baby shower and there was no turning back. Even my mom got involved in the planning of the baby shower. So like I said, I'm really not pregnant at this point. So I started trying to get pregnant, but my damn boyfriend just wouldn't touch me. I decided to check his phone again and saw that he was still talking to some girls on Instagram. So I decided to confront him at this point. I mean, we are engaged and I'm supposedly pregnant with his baby. I confronted him and he just got angry at me. He said that if he was gonna marry me and have a baby with me, he would need to talk to other girls and that was not a negotiation for him. Then he confessed that he was seeing 2 other girls on the side and that there was no way he was gonna stop seeing them and that I couldn't do anything about it. But his confession actually made me fall out of love with him. Now I'm planning to break up with him. But what do I do about the fake pregnancy? I do want to make him pay for what he said to me, but I don't want to hurt our families either. Should I just come clean? What should I do? My best friend always projects her insecurities on me. Should I break up with her? That's when she started swinging at my boyfriend. Luckily, I yelled at her and she stopped. It's like she was upset at me for yelling at her for trying to hit my boyfriend. That's when my boyfriend kicked her out of the car and I asked him to calm down. I got out of the car with Lucia and asked her to calm down. That's when she told me that I needed to break up with him and that he was clearly abusive. I told her he was just defending me. Then she said he doesn't need to defend you. I'm only saying this because I care about you. Then she called herself an Uber and left. My boyfriend and I went to the movie theaters and we had a really nice night. Here's some more examples of her projecting on me. While we were getting ready for a friend's birthday party, she started pointing out some stuff on my body. She said, "Your elbows are really dark. You need to fix that." Another time I decided to get some highlights and she said they looked horrible on me. She said I looked like a JLo wannabe. Luckily, I didn't care and I just kept the highlights. Mind you, 2 months later, she got the exact same highlights. Now, I know that she cares about me because she does have my back. She'll help me with anything I need, honestly. And I wonder if I'm overreacting, but I don't think so. I just don't know how to tell her that she's toxic. She makes me feel bad. What should I do?
Story time about the girl who found out that I was hooking up with her boyfriend for 3 months straight. So a little background information. I was in high school, and there was this boy that I really liked. And I had a crush on him since I was in 7th grade. And the only time he would talk to me is whenever he wanted me to send him nudes. Well, in high school, he got a girlfriend. But while he was dating her, he would still ask me for nudes. And of course, I would still send them. Well, the summer before my junior year, I got a job at this restaurant. Well, almost every single day, the guy that I liked would bring his girlfriend in. Because guess what? His dad owned the restaurant. We're gonna call this boy Alex. Well, the one night I was supposed to close with this girl, but she ended up having to leave because of a family thing. So Alex came in to help me close. And while we were there, we were talking. And this was the longest that we ever talked. Well, he said, "Do you want to come over to my house after we're done?" So a bitch said yes. And we did the nasty and he took me home in the morning. Well, then he started coming in often to help me close. Well, 3 months later, as I'm closing, his girlfriend and her friends walk in for part 2. Part 2 about the girl who found out that I was hooking up with her boyfriend for 3 months straight. So like I said, the one night nobody could come in to help me close. And while I'm wiping off the counter, the girl and 3 of her friends walk in. I thought that she might have just forgot something because she was here earlier with her boyfriend, aka the guy that I was hooking up with. So I was super nice. I was like, "Hey, what do you need?" And literally, as soon as I finished my sentence, one of her friends comes up behind me and grabs me by my ponytail. And then his girlfriend, we're gonna call her Allie, she comes up and punches me straight in the middle of the mouth. Literally, right in the middle of the mouth. I had to go to the dentist the next day because 2 of my teeth were missing. So then she goes and sits down at a table while she takes a video of 3 of her best friends beating the shit out of me. So then I'm sitting there, I could barely move. And then she plugs in one of those things that guys shave their head with. And as soon as she figured out how to work the damn thing, it literally took her 10 minutes. My mom walks in because she had been waiting outside for 25 minutes at this point. So my mom called the cops and I pretty much won. My head wasn't shaved. I got a new set of teeth the next day and her boyfriend still hits me up.
My best friend always projects her insecurities onto me. Should I break up with her? My best friend and I have known each other for exactly 2 years. We met in college and hit it off right away. We're both Latinas and we come from really big families. I have 2 other sisters and we get along really well. We always hype each other up and have each other's backs. A few months after I started my friendship with my best friend, let's call her Lucia. Lucia started showing some really toxic qualities. Sometimes I think I'm just reading too much into it or overreacting. So you let me know. First of all, she would start talking bad about my sisters in front of me. She would make comments like, "Wow, your sister's gained weight," or "Wow, your sister has cellulite." When she first did this, I would just defend my sisters, but then I realized that just made her want to keep talking more trash. So if she ever said anything about my sisters, I wouldn't say anything. At the time our friendship started, I had a really big crush on this guy. He and I went to the same gym and I never had the courage to speak to him, not until my sister convinced me to. I finally spoke to him at the gym and we actually hit it off. We would work out together every now and then and he finally asked me out on a date. The day of our date, my best friend came over to my house, and while I was getting ready, she started saying really weird things. At first, she told me that I should wash my hair because it looked oily. I told her my hair was freshly washed. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I could see her reflection and she just rolled her eyes at me. This is when things started clicking. Part 2 is up. My best friend projects her insecurities on me. Should I break up with her? I could see through the mirror that she had rolled her eyes at me. Then she started making other comments about my appearance. Mind you, I'm getting ready for a date. When I showed her the outfit that I was gonna wear, she said it was too revealing and that I would probably scare him off. Wasn't even revealing, it just showed my legs. It was a cute sundress with the cardigan on top. I told her I thought I looked cute. And then she said, "Allá tu amiga." As I'm finishing up my hair and my makeup, she says, "Wow, you're gonna wear that much makeup?" But the way she said it was so aggressive, I actually took off the lipstick I was wearing. Instead, I just put on lip balm. I looked at her and she had a smile on her face. It was like she was happy she finally got to me. The date went really well and he actually turned into my boyfriend a few weeks later. And guess what? My best friend started judging everything about him. The first time she met him, she started saying, "Wow, I think he's balding," which he isn't. And even if he was, I wouldn't care. She also started making comments about him staring at other girls, something I never even noticed that he did, and I would know I'm with him all the time. It's like she was trying to plant all these insecurities in my head. One day, Lucia and my boyfriend and I are in his car. We were heading to the movie theaters when Lucia says, "Wow, you put on way too much perfume. It's giving me a headache." That's when my boyfriend told her that if it bothered her that much, she should just go home. And out of nowhere, Lucia swung her fist at him. She actually tried to attack him. Part 3 is up.